The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Buffs On Podcast. We are the best POD in the 313. We're coming fresh off of a Pistons win over the Pelicans, where we had some surprising role players step up in the absence of Cade Cunningham. Gabe's got himself a special segment for us today. We got a lot to touch on. The Pistons are a 40-win team. The Pistons are fresh off of picking up their 40th. Yes, I'll say it again. Their 40th win of the season for the first time since the 2018-19 season. Things are looking good for the Pistons. We are playoff bound. We have clinched a official play-in spot. We still need 6 more wins after today to clinch a playoff spot and secure that 6th seed. But a lot going good here. I'm going to hand it over to Valley here. He's got the schedule written down. Valley, what's one of the things you want to talk about today? Because there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah, I think especially coming right off of that win against New Orleans, like you said, Amit, that put us on 40 for the first time since when the 2018-19 seasons when the Pistons were led by Blake Griffin. I would also like to touch on the fact that we just witnessed a beautiful, beautiful game from Ron Holland, an absolute masterclass. I think we've seen flashes from Ron throughout the whole year in really short glimpses, and I think we just fully saw now. And like I want to touch on his driving ability, his driving game, and how that's going to kick to so many other options. And I would love to talk about his long-term fit here and how we see that happening and, where he could potentially long-term slot in the starting lineup. But today against New Orleans, we're recording right after this victory where he posted 26 points, 5 rebounds. He set a career high for assists at halftime. Finished the game with 6 assists and a steal. It's almost weird saying the stats don't justify what he did on this court because he was just, like Greg Kelser kept pointing out, he's just a hustle, man.
He had energy. Yeah, he was
So much energy. Hit the deck probably like 9 times. First guy
Got his head wrapped up at least 3 times.
Get a head wrapped up. That was a new one. But Ron, when it really comes down to me, is his driving ability leads to him having through the roof potential. And I would love to discuss what's a realistic long-term goal for Jaylen Brown. He said, excuse me, for Jaylen Brown. Ron Holland, he watches a lot of Jaylen Brown footage and idolizes his game. He said he watches Jrue Holiday footage as well. So you see that defensive impact, but the driving game, the drive and kick, the drive and awesome Euro step sort of gather into layups, the in and out dribble into the big dunk in the second half against New Orleans today, I think was a serious momentum changer. But where are we standing on Ron Holland moving forward? Is he a guy that you think will increase his minutes, especially with how important every single game is to us and getting to these playoffs and so forth? Where do you see Ron right now? Where do you see Ron next season? And where do you see Ron long term in terms of our rotation, in terms of our lineups?
Gabe, Connie, you guys haven't had a chance to jump in yet?
Yeah, I think especially against teams like tonight where you're going against Kelly-O, going against Matkovic, who I thought might be good, but no. He was my sleeper pick, but he ain't it. But anyway, like if you play against the Bucks, if you play against the Pacers with a big guy in there, Ron, I think, he doesn't have as easy of a time, but the fact that he goes like the exact same speed, which is 100% from start to end, a lot of players just like can't or won't stay up with him. And his creation upside, good. Like he can just kind of get to the rim and then people collapse on him. And he made the right read a lot of times today. He got the ball to Malik Beasley, but the pass was kind of really low. Malik still drained it. So his timing is good. I think the accuracy and kind of the out of controlness that he is, especially on defense, I think, he can still grow so much. It's, these things that you fault him for are just things that an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, just like, with that much speed and strength, that's just what he plays with. I'm a believer now in Ron, and talk about him a bit more later.
Did this single game change things for you? And like, because I want to note that he did tie his career high. He hit 26, but that was mostly realistically garbage time buckets in Boston. Like, did this game like for me it simply did. Like I've been high on Ron. You've seen the flashes, but one thing you've never seen is the playmaking. Hence why he hit his career high at halftime in terms of assists. Like that's why I'm thinking right now. Like yeah, we played a depleted New Orleans team who has zero rim protection. Um, but what he showed just gets me even more excited and like gets me more excited for his potential and especially with his potential in the long term fit. Kind of give you the opportunity to speak, but I think really quick that long term, like with what we have, an ideal starting five, and we've said this before in the pod, is Cade, Ivy, Ron, Asar, Duran. And I think that even though he's still not being guarded and respected on the 3-point line, I think those strides are being made, and I have a lot more optimism that lineup is something that will be doable because I don't think Duran and Asar will ever become halfway decent shooters. So Ron will need to. And I have just increased confidence now, especially with his playmaking ability, which we see in Asar a lot too. But Connie, what do you think about Ron?
I mean, Ron, as it stands right now, coming in the league is a downhill force. Like when he gets out and runs with or without the ball in his hands, it feels like he gets what's it called in 2K value where you get to do a couple of nice things in a row and you get a little takeover? What do they call that in 2K25 now?
It's a goat ability.
Ghost ability.
Goat skill, something like that. Amit, can you confirm?
I cannot confirm. I have not picked up 2K in a
His
minute.
goat ability when he starts driving, his layup and interior finishing goes up like 10 points. Like if he's speeding towards the hoop, a lot of players have it. It seems like a speed limit. I certainly did in my.
You still do. You still do.
You know, but he is the complete opposite, where he can be going 100 miles an hour on the rim and just toss something up, and it lands on the backboard, feathery soft, and drops in. He has such so that like just downhill off rat, he is incredible right now, and like Gabe said, that falls off a little bit if you have a strong center or a good rim protector down low, unlike the Pelicans today. But the other thing that I really like is there is an element of touch there,
Slippery,
right? Of tough shot making in the mid range that we definitely just haven't seen from Asar. If we're comparing our two non-shooting forwards, that gives me some inkling of hope that he will develop that going forward. Especially, it seems how dogged of a competitor he is, and if he wants it bad enough, he seems to have the inherent like touch, the I don't know if it's genetic or natural talent, hand-eye coordination that allows somebody to be a good bucket maker. It is just about putting it together. But you said Jaylen Brown, Valley, and literally when you guys are talking, I was like half listening and half watching rookie season Jaylen Brown highlights. And honestly, pretty similar looking.
Do you have the numbers of like his splits, rookie year Jaylen Brown?
I can look him up real quick.
Holland already has. Oh, no, not at but like his handle is way above the level that Jaylen Brown was. And
Jalen's jumper was probably better. Yeah, I mean Jaylen was 6 points a game, 3 rebounds, kind of almost 1 in all the other stats. He shot 1.7 threes a game at 34%.
Okay.
So, I mean, better than JB. He was only 68 from the free throw line. Compare that to Ron Holland. He's shooting 21% on 1.9 threes, but he shoots a better free throw percentage. So, like, I feel like a lot of similarities between those guys, and it really depends. He also seems to have the body type that is going, I think, fill out athletically. Like, Jaylen Brown came in skinny and is now like a freaking beefcake. I think he will definitely put on strength in like applicable ways. And like you said, Gabe, that handle is crispy. He had the in and out. Who was it on? Jordan Hawkins? I think Jordan Hawkins, where he gets the board, he just runs out. He completely shifts the defender and just hammers one. Like those are just things that at a baseline you can't, like a player will either have that, I feel, or not have that. Just the wiggle, the capability, the ability to do that at a full speed at his size is just not something you can teach. And then you combine that with the touch he has, and I don't know. Yeah, Valley said it.
Why can't he shoot? Why can't he shoot if he has all these things?
He has a good mid-range shot. What I see in his shot is it seems too like elastic almost, like the parts will all swing and like kind of like it needs to be compacted down a little bit, and it seems to have been compacted down a little bit, but he has a lot of that like where you go back to get the energy to go forwards, but in the hands instead of the legs. So he almost like it's like elastic in the elbows, and that like drops your touch off as you go deeper. Force coming from your upper body rather than your lower body. We're really good shooters. The hands are guiding. Like Steph Curry, the hands are mostly guiding, and most of the force is being created by like your base and your legs and shit. That's why I don't think it's good yet. But like he has the mid range touch. He has that little cross into a midi. Like he has it, and I think it's just about building like base fundamentals of movement and shooting that I think will make him take the next step.
Yeah, this summer will be huge for him in developing that shot. I think, especially the last couple of games. I mean, all season we've seen the hustle, the energy that he always brings on the floor. There was a time where like we would have to wait for Stu and Holland to come in the game just to inject some energy into this team, into the defense. The good news is that stabilized now. Like he's still providing that energy off the bench. He's been fantastic. I love his ability, like you guys touched on, getting downhill in transition. I mean, it's really hard to stop him. And he had 11 free throws tonight. Like you guys said, no rim protection. You just got to foul him to stop him. Like 5 for 11 from the free throw line.
And he had an off night at the line. He still had a monster game. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, like you hit 6 more of those free throws, we're talking a 30-piece real quick. So, it's been really nice to see Ron Holland develop over the course of this season. And I think he's developing more confidence in that shot. Special K said, I believe it was on the last broadcast, and he said it before, but he believes in Ron Holland's shot because of how mechanically sound it is. Yes, Connie, like you're saying, it may be a little slingshotty, but I mean, there is reason for belief in that jump shot, And I'm baffled why Asar Thompson's still struggling. They set it a little bit more, so hopefully we can see some improvement from Asar soon too. But Ron Holland has been absolutely fantastic. Another guy that has been an unsung hero for this team throughout the season. If you're ready, Belly, we can move into talking about Marcus Sasser.
Yeah, I just really quick want to say one final thing on Ron. It won't be quick. It won't be long.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that since the calendar's turned, since the year 2025, the Pistons have maintained being number one in defense. And really quick, touching on that potential future lineup we have of Cade, Ivy, Ron, Asar, Duran. Our identity is really focused on playing defense. As the metric backs it up, as we have the highest net rating in defense since 2025. But I think the opportunity we have to be an elite defensive team with that lineup, leading directly to transition baskets. We're near the top of the league in fast break points as well. And I think that we just really have a great opportunity, theoretically, with that lineup and with the culture we're building right now, to become defensive powerhouses and really just build a long-term identity for this team. And I think Ron is a big part of that. Moving on to Marcus Sasser, though, I think I've said this a couple times here and there throughout this pod that I think he just deserves a handful of minutes a night. I think every time he's played, he's proven that he's a capable basketball player. Early in the season when we were running with Cade and Ivy and staggering them, Sasser would never see the court unless there was foul trouble. You thought with Ivy going down, we'd see an increase in his minutes, and we did until we got Dennis Schroeder, and then we haven't really seen Marcus Sasser other than garbage time. Whenever he's in garbage time, really, really knockdown shooter, and I think Special K was on one today because I think he said it spot on that Sasser's trying to prove a point. 20 points while only missing one shot, hit a really big, deep 3-pointer, catch and shoot late in this game against New Orleans to help secure this win. And what I love the most about this game in particular is not only the opportunity that Ron got, but the opportunity that Sasser got. He got to close out that game. We saw a substitution come in, and it was Schroeder who exited rather than Marcus Sasser, backing him. And maybe this could long-term lead to him just getting a handful of minutes as a third-string point guard. It's my assumption that Cade is okay and this was a rest. He may have had a little issue going on, but he's just been so overworked. So hopefully there's no more absences for Cade. I could see him sitting that game on Tuesday against San Antonio, though, however. And another opportunity would come from Marcus Sasser. Should he seize that, I just really think, and even with him seizing this opportunity today, there's no reason he shouldn't be getting 8 to 12 minutes a game minimum. He's a dead-eye shooter. He's proven now that he can shoot in the catch and shoot. And you saw him play with Schroeder. Amit, you said that when we got Dennis Schroeder, like, oh, maybe we can activate Sasser as a scorer. And I think the potential for that is really there. And he's a very low turnover guy, doesn't make mistakes, plays kind of simple, and is obviously so shifty. But you watch him and simply at the eye test, like, it's hard to see a world where this guy isn't regularly in the rotation. And I'm really amazed he's not at this point, and I'm really hopeful that this amazing performance will lead to him getting in the rotation. And hats off to Marcus Sasser. Digs into the culture, the identity, the team vibes. Never is asking for more minutes. Never complaining about where he's at.
Come on, man.
But comes in and plays hard. Connie, you think opposite?
No, he comes in and plays hard. Like, this is what Marcus Sasser is. He's perfect for when you rest Cade Cunningham and you're playing the Pelicans in March.
Like, we not think deserving to get more of an opportunity. Like when we trade
Who?
Like, for who?
Where are those minutes coming from?
You're taking them away from
Timmy Hardaway Jr. is probably going to be out for a little bit. I think there's minutes that you
Okay,
can
yes.
or even Sasser next to Cade when Cade is back. Like I just think that there has to be a way because he's such a
That's
solid.
what he's for. It's for when Timmy turns his ankle and you need a couple bench minutes. Like in a fully healthy roster, anytime you're playing Marcus Sasser, you're probably taking away minutes from somebody who's gonna be more impactful 90% of the time, except for these games like this where he can pop off. Like he can pop off, and he's a good, talented player. He's a good, talented third string point guard. Third string point guards don't play. That's why they're third string point guards.
But I could very much argue that I think he could be much more of value than Tim Hardaway Jr.
Like what third string point more valuable than Tim Hardaway Jr.?
Hands down. I think there's been so many moments where Tim has been invisible on both ends of the court. And he's kind of a ball stopper, Tim Hardaway.
Let me take the middle ground because I see you're getting
I just think that the opportunity for Sasser playing him off ball, I just think that opportunity is really there. And moving forward long term with Schroeder being an unrestricted free agent, could he then step into the Schroeder role?
What I wrote down this game for Sasser is that he's in his perfect role, which I guess leans more to you, Connie. But when in situations where we're losing a game and the offense just kind of stalled out a bit, I would be in favor of taking some minutes away from Malik or Tim Hardaway just to have a little bit more creation. Probably not Malik. So yeah, probably Tim Hardaway, but just like only specifically those nights. And Connie, I think I lean more towards you then because like this guy can score and he's great to have. But I remember watching games earlier when we didn't have Schroeder and like there's just nothing going on with him leading the offense at times, which is like it's fine and he's good and he's perfect in this field. A little bit like Will the Thrill Bynum, where he just brings the energy.
Who was the backup and started for the season?
Yeah, but you're not gonna win the chip with Will the Thrill as like your main backup guard there. But yeah, he's been great as well. And I mean,
you want to take this one?
Go ahead.
Again, yeah, he is like this is like
what
by definition this is what a third string point guard does on every NBA team. Is you don't play minutes unless like the NBA season is volatile and different things happen and like guys injured or like some guys are putting up some absolute stinkers and you just want to put up a different look. But like consistent minutes for this guy, he has shown like he gets kind of solved a little bit. And I'm not saying he's at the peak of his powers. He can continue to improve, and I think he should continue to be on the Pistons because for moments like this, it's valuable to have. But like to be like Marcus Sasser needs to take over the Dennis Schroeder. He needs 20 a game back.
No one's saying that.
That's the Dennis Schroeder role.
Yeah, potentially long term. We also have Jaden Ivey coming back.
Yeah,
but I just think I have a question. I just want to tee up. What does Tim Hardaway Jr. provide over Marcus Sasser?
Size.
Yeah, switchability on defense.
He there's a lot of times teams try to attack Tim Hardaway Jr. He gives it up sometimes. Like, he's not unassailable. But like, when you put Marcus Sasser out there, the switch that's Tim Hardaway 6'5" versus 6'7" is 6'7" versus 6'1", and like not a big 6'1". Like he is small,
but he's not.
He's so tough though, because
And
every
he's not-
time he's getting onto Timmy, he's
also
getting a
a
bucket.
worse shooter than Tim Hardaway Jr.
In what way?
Like,
with
catch and shoot,
ample size.
getting the ball, catch and shoot. It takes him longer to get it up. It takes him much longer to get it up. Tim Hardaway can shoot quicker. He can shoot more contested 3-pointers, and he's larger. And he hits him he can hit harder shots. Like the fling out from Cade that hits Tim Hardaway Jr. right at head height, and he just like catches and flicks it up and shoots it over the defender.
Break every time.
This guy's a hater. That's great.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is a level above Marcus Sasser as a 3-point shooter in the way that we need him.
I think they're very different players, and I think Marcus Sasser doesn't necessarily take bad shots, which would mean more shots go to Cade, Duran, who's looked really promising, whereas Tim Hardaway, 10 times a game, is going to take a really bad shot, you know? And like whenever the ball does go to him, he's like, it doesn't matter who's in front of him, he's pulling every time.
Like,
I get the argument.
Against the Heat, the overtime comeback against the Heat early in the season where he had 8 straight points are bad shots. And that's why you need him out there, because like Cade just flings it to him and he's like leaning forwards and hit. Like, you need bad shot makers. Malik Beasley, terrible bad shot maker. Remember we were watching basketball with David, and he didn't watch the Pistons, and he saw Malik's first shot that he missed, and he's like, oh, that's a bad shot. He shouldn't be taking that. And then he whips the next 3, and they're all bad shots, but they all go in because you need people like, consistently, like he's not filling the role the same way.
I think he has a lot of qualities that aren't being utilized, and those minutes, when I say utilized, that could be 8 minutes, you know, that could be a few minutes when we have some early foul trouble or something. I just think that with him being,
what he's already doing,
with him being over 40% from deep consistently,
hold
up. Has extreme doggedness on the defensive end. I think he's underrated. I think you're overestimating his. I understand the height, but I
isn't he already in this role? He's already in this role of being the backup when things go wrong.
No, because we've opted to go with Sar Thompson at point guard rather than play him.
I mean,
so I disagree, and I don't think that worked out well.
He's been with the Pistons for what, 3-4 years now. They know
Sasser? Just 2.
Just 2, really?
Yeah, he was his same draft as Sar.
Oh, okay.
He was 25th overall.
But like either way, he's had time, and like he's been evaluated plenty by the Pistons and their coaching staff and what best suits his strength, which everyone else is playing, and it only works because he plays his role, because that's what everyone on this team does. You know, Ron plays 8 minutes some games, and it's like I'm sure he'd like to come off and play the whole game, but it's a rotation. We're winning games. Playoffs are just around the corner. And if it if we need some tough shot making against the Knicks, he can cook Jalen Brunson some possession. And I'm sure that adjustment will be made.
Ooh, he can cook anyone.
So, Marcus Sasser.
I mean, you're a little too neutral. Or quiet.
I'm kind of in the middle on this one because I agree with you. I would love to see Marcus Sasser get more of an opportunity, not to facilitate, not to be a point guard, just to be a scorer. But I don't see where those minutes are coming from right now. Like, I agree with Connie and Gabe that Tim Hardaway Jr.'s veteran presence, his size, and his shot-making ability is what make him the starting small forward on this team, and that's why he's held that position for majority, if not all games he's been available this season. But I think I was one of the advocates for Marcus Sasser before the season began. I just don't like that we're trying to make him be a point guard, because I just don't think he has that ability in him. But if you just let him just try to be a scorer, I think that's the best role for him. But again, I don't see where that comes from unless it's days like today or days like Connie and Gabe were saying, where like someone is in foul trouble and we got to give somebody else minutes. There's Cade goes down and needs someone to come in and do their thing. I love Marcus Sasser, and I'm a true professional because of what he's gone through this season in the rotation, out the rotation. But every time he steps foot on that court, for the most part, he's been effective.
It's-
You don't think so?
Well, I guess we could transition this into my little cap or not. I don't know what another way to like, is this true or not? So
I
you
like
could
it.
argue, like what's right, what's wrong. Inspired by Greg, Special K here. I think this was earlier this season when we were playing the Bucks. He said Brook Lopez is a lock for the Hall of Fame, and I thought, really? Is he? But then I like look at the stats, look at the numbers, and it's like, oh,
Numbers, I'd say yeah.
which it just caught me off guard. And then today again, he said one of the best shooting big men of the past 10 years in reference to Kelly Olynyk. And I thought, it's Special K. But
it's
then
not a lie.
I thought about it. I
I
thought, you
can
know
kind
what?
of see it.
You know
One
what?
of the
That's,
best.
One of
a
them, yeah.
reasonable take. So I guess relating back to Ron Holland here, do you think, I guess you guys talked about it a little bit if you want that. Is he going to be starting next year on a team that has talent at the wings, but no one has really come out and said, like, let me have this starting wing spot from the young guys?
Next year, I don't think so.
Yeah, unless he really
Like, unless he puts on like 20 pounds of muscle and figures out how to hit threes at a 34% clip, I don't see him starting next year.
Yeah, I would have to agree. But
I also think it would just be.
I think it could be like a Stu Plumlee situation where eventually he just like forces his way in.
Whose spot does he take over?
That's fair. That's yeah, I
Either
can see that.
Sasser
for sure.
or Tobias.
Who does he take over?
Either
Well, that's the thing. We don't know
Dude,
who
as
our
the
starting
game
small
goes,
forward would
maybe
be
Jaden
next
Ivey at
season.
the 2 if he's really shooting it.
I mean, who knows if Ron Holland's even on the team next season with all these reports that Devin Booker's 80 to 90% coming to Detroit. So it may be a moot argument.
Yeah, I want to see our guys grow.
I do too. I agree.
All right, the next thing, a guy we haven't touched on today, but who was absolutely dominant, Jalen Duren.
Ooh. I think we haven't even touched on it because he's been so dominant the last 4 or 5 times we've got on here. It's just like JD doing JD things. So shout out JD.
And like those JD things are not just dunking, offensive rebounds, like good defense, which is the baseline of a great big man. Don't get me wrong, he's doing those things, but it's also the passing, the off the dribble game, just his fluidity in offense and his creation. He's gonna have an expensive contract, and that's
fine.
A little problematic. I mean, our salary cap place is quickly, as fun as this year has been, the offseason is going to be so much more intriguing now with Jaden Ivey going down since January 1st. Do you give him a rookie scale extension? Jalen Duren absolutely has played his heart out and has earned that rookie scale extension as well. Not only that, Cade Cunningham has gone above and beyond and is on the verge of all-NBA first team, according to Kendrick Perkins. So that's another bonus that we got to pay out. Before I hand it back to you, Gabe, Connie, can you look up how many blocks per game Jalen Duren is averaging? Because I remember we talked about it at the beginning of the year.
I think I checked like a week ago or something.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't want to say something stupid and sound wrong.
He is at 1.2 blocks.
Okay.
Which is a high for his career.
Yeah. So I think at the beginning of the year, we were like, in order for JD to be an effective rim presence, he would have to have 1.5 blocks per game, and that would be asking for a lot. I think we have seen everything we need to see from Jalen Duren to receive that rookie scale extension. Are we all on board with that?
What are you saying max?
Max? No.
As a reference, I guess, Jaren Jackson Jr. got a 4-year 105, which is about 26 a year.
Which was how long ago?
After his rookie.
Yeah, but that was what, 5 years ago? I don't know. I had no perception as to how old Jaren Jackson is.
I think it was last year.
Last year.
Or the year before that kicked in.
He's in at least his 5th year.
Did JD get 20 a year? I think he's at least 20. 18 to 20.
Yeah, I do. But 20, it's probably going to be more than that, but we're just going to keep seeing the cap go up, especially with the new media deal. Like numbers that seem ridiculous.
Max Duren if he asks for a max.
Like, what'd you say? Max Duren?
Max Duren if he asks for a max.
Yeah.
Do you think he has the confidence to walk in there and ask for a max?
Yes.
And will another team pay that max?
No.
Right.
No.
Other team will.
The Lakers.
the horn.
Lakers should have Max and they like he's a really good player, but like Max
Okay, so let's put it this way: Isaiah Stewart's getting paid $15 million a year. How much more is Jalen Duren worth
30.
than Isaiah?
Jalen Duren's worth, I think, $30 million a year.
25 to 30, I was gonna say.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
I think
He'll for 120.
I think it'll be one contract before max. If he's on pace to get a max after signing this theoretical extension in the summer, I think that next deal would potentially be a max deal. But I do think you get around 25, give or take, 3, 4, 5 million a year. I think that'd be reasonable, and I'd be more than happy to give that to JD.
Okay, I guess we got to have this conversation now. What about Jaden Ivey?
I'm
Yeah.
comfortable throwing around a similar price.
Would that be this offseason?
Yeah.
Same class, yeah.
Oh, that's a tough.
I'd be comfortable with
I
paying,
mean, you pay
say
with
3
anything,
years,
I think.
105, same kind of similar deal. I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
I'd be happy signing him to okay, never mind. Yeah, Jalen Green got 3 years, 106.
Right, and Jaden Ivey's much
Yeah.
better than Jalen Green.
Yeah, okay,
Jalen Green sucks.
that's not true.
You got another one?
Jalen Green is good. He is good. He's a 3-point shooter, and Greg mentioned this today as well that teams have really keyed in on Beasley being a 3-point threat. He said it only took them like 200 makes, but they started to really play higher on him, and that made me think, in the playoffs where teams don't care about anything else except beating you, I'm sure he's going to be covered tight.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I have a question. Do you think he's going to struggle in the playoffs? Do you think it's going to be a disappointing year for Beasley in the playoffs?
Unfortunately, that's kind of where I'm leaning in my head right now because
He's just been on a bit of a he's not cold.
He was
he's not cold.
Tonight. Yeah, no, he did great.
What about
Pelicans?
the same exact question?
Not OG Anunoby.
What about the same exact question and then Cade Cunningham? Because we've seen teams like top of my head, Golden State, where they took away everything from him and he had 9 turnovers in that game.
I think if
Cade
Cade Cunningham could go out the next night and play that Golden State game again, it would not be the same story.
This is a guy who's had 10 turnover games for the first time in history back to back. Like, do you not have an element of?
But I think the difference is that Cade Cunningham is an extremely dynamic player, and to shut the water off in one way is to open the water in another. Whereas Malik Beasley, it's a one-way street. I mean, he runs around the perimeter, he gets up threes. Now, I do think there's an opportunity that, you can't do both, right? You still have to stop Cade Cunningham. Other things open up. And, I do see there's a possibility we get like a 7 3-pointer Malik game, and that just wins us a playoff game. But I can also see it falling down. One thing I've been worried about, if we're talking about things concerning us in the playoffs, the Pistons are a really fast-playing team, and we get a lot in the open court and do that very well. And that, historically slows down a little bit in the playoffs, and playing games can come a little bit grinding, and it's looking like we're playing New York. Do you guys feel good about playing New York in a grind fest?
Yeah, I feel good playing anybody in a grind fest, but yeah, I feel good.
It's just Jalen is a problem. Grind fest, he might be the ultimate grind fest captain.
Yeah,
court basketball over and over again. You guys think we can win a series like that?
No, we lose if it's like that. But I think we do have the opportunity to put a star on and just send 2 at Brunson and then just kind of let Karl Anthony Towns do things. And as we've seen in the past, doesn't usually work out for him. He's good at it, but he's not good enough to win at it in a playoff situation. Depends on how good we are, I think. If Cade is, I saw that series, I think, even against OG and Bridges, he's still going to cook them. But it's when they send 2 and, it's the next person up. That's where I think we'll really see what this team is, that it is not just Cade, but also Duren, Ron's creation. Tobias Harris has been blown by some people recently. He's looking real shit.
I saw him today. He literally picked up the ball. I don't know who he blew by, but he blew by something. I'm like, that man just got blown by Tobias Harris. That's
he also dunked on. Who'd he dunk on?
Kelly
Yeah, you just push him out the way.
That was New Orleans last time. What I think what you're referring to.
Yeah, maybe.
Two things. Number one, physicality increases significantly in the postseason, right?
Yeah, and
And that's
they let
kind
you
of what
play.
our mantra has been this season. So, and we've been getting whistled for it. So if we're allowed to play with the physicality that JV has apparently been teaching these guys to play with, and it's not getting called, that's going to frustrate some people, and that might be our sneaky advantage. Um,
That could help us star a lot too, who's always in foul
oh,
trouble. Seems
big
like
time. I mean, he picked
Reach.
up 3 fouls in what 5 minutes today.
they were all fouls. Yeah,
Yeah, and Ron Holland has always had a quick whistle. Isaiah Stewart gets whistled for breathing in the vicinity of anybody.
not just
So
whistle, he gets teed up for
yeah,
it.
so those things could go our way, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was one of you guys that said it when we played the Knicks. It was like OG Anunoby's too slow, and McCall Bridges is too small to guard Kate Cunningham, and that
Because
kind of just
quoting Special K, so
yeah,
special.
yeah. So like that's also going to be a problem, but that's where we come into the problem that we've been facing since Cade Cunningham has come into the league is can you surround Cade with guys that are good enough to pick up the slack? And that's I think we're all confident Cade Cunningham is going to perform in the postseason. It's just is Malik going to be able to get his shots off? And this is where it comes down to JB and how creative he is as a coach and getting those shots open for Malik. And Jalen Duren's going to have to fight down low with Carl Anthony Towns because we're going to need a lot of second chance buckets if we're going to win in the playoffs.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to when it's official to who we do ultimately end up playing and having a full deep dive into that because I do think it'll be the Knicks, but we've got an interesting end to the season, especially with Milwaukee twice. What was your initial question game of cap or not?
That's just I don't know. Is it true or no?
Is what true or no?
Beasley, will he struggle in the playoffs?
As we said, I wanted to circle back to that because
yeah, this is nicely done.
I'm calling cap. I don't think so. I think Beasley will. Yeah, maybe he won't be getting up 12 threes a game and hitting 6 of them, but I do think that Beasley will still very much be felt, and I think his value will actually really show in the playoffs.
Lower volume, same efficiency.
Absolutely, maybe even increased efficiency. So I say that's not true, and I say he will be effective in the playoffs.
I'm also calling cap. I think there's going to be a game that we call the Malik Beasley game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very much worried about it, but I would say maybe game one of the series he struggles and then he figures it out after that.
You know what's been good actually, defensively? The Knicks can't guard anybody, and they've been worse with Jalen Brunson out, which is kind of ironic even. But they can't guard, they can't play defense. So that is a good thing for us, I guess, in this.
Which is ironic for a team that has like McCall Bridges and OG Anunoby.
And Tom Thibodeau. Yeah.
But they've really defense, which is why my last topic here is you think the aggressiveness on defense, not just like reaching and like foul trouble, but like we almost collapse really fast sometimes, which leads to a lot of open threes, which almost lost us the game tonight. We lost against the Wizards, I think, because we were too aggressive on defense. They just always had like backdoor cuts because we were in their face. They just go through. Do you think that aggressiveness is in ways bad the way I see that it is, or do you think it's just a necessary step in learning to play like a switchable defense? I think it's just tuned a little too high right now.
I think that's just the way the Pistons play defense. Sometimes it ends up in those, and sometimes it ends up in strips, and that's what you can't be the second. You can't be the second in the NBA in fast break points and not force turnovers, and you force turnovers by being up in the face of the defense. So I think that's just something that is part of the defensive scheme. I do think there should be some versatility to it because, like, if you're playing a team like these Pelicans, for instance, where they don't have it let them back in again, but if the ball handling's not as strong and like you can really force turnovers, and Cat, going back to defense, is the type of guy that you might be able to force turnovers off of in a playoff scenario if you really turn up the heat. I think it's just the way they choose to do things.
Yeah.
Once we know who we play, we should do like a playoff.
I'm excited. We're already leaning into
a deep dive.
Val, you got something to add? I got something too.
Go ahead, Amin.
Uh, I we talked about this at the beginning of the year when we talked about if the Pistons are going to be able to sustain a top 10 defense, and it was when you guys were when we were all discussing, we leave guys open to take shots, right? I think there's at least one guy per game where we say like, hey, let them shoot. We see weak closeouts, we see guys not even try, and I think in a potential Knicks series, I think we can all say that's going to be Josh Hart, and
And he's knocked them down in the past.
he has. So I think Josh Hart is gonna make or break the series for us. Um because it's all gonna depend on like who are we leaving and if that person's knocking down shots. And like you just touched on, it's worked sometimes. Like it kind of worked today and it hasn't worked sometimes. Like it didn't work against Washington. So, it's just a question of like who's gonna hit shots. And I think it just comes with the territory. Yeah, we collapse really hard sometimes, but like again, like you said, it leads to like the number 2 fast break team in the league. So if we can start getting a few pokeaways early and disrupting the Knicks, I think that'll set the tone for the series, which bodes well for us. But if Josh Hart starts knocking down his open threes and they find a way to just and we keep leaving the wrong guy open, that's obviously not going to be good for us.
I agree with you, and I do think it could be Josh Hart who ultimately does make or break that season. But this kind of brings me to a point, and then also kind of a question I have right afterwards. And I think my point is that we kind of have our energy turned up all the way. It's at 100 almost all the time, right? I think that there's almost potential for there to be
110.
110. Like from
Yeah.
an optimistic point of view, other teams don't go up and it cancels us out. My optimism is that we just go up another level. Like I could see, potentially a game 1 or 2, but more likely a game 3 when we're back in Detroit, for the first time in forever. And we just start out with like a 10-12-0 run, and it's just like, what's the what's the unit of tracking? Is it decibels? Yeah,
Yes.
if we could
Yeah.
just like break some records, certainly a Little Caesar record, we just come out like just lob, 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 dunk, 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 dunk. Maybe a ridiculous three in there, or not. But um, a pretty big question I guess I want to ask all of you is what what are you looking for in this playoff run? What would make you happy as a Pistons fan? Because we've had to adjust this, being happy would have been, 30 wins, prior to the season, but now we're in a very different spot. We're at 40 and counting, and we more than likely will be this, in a guaranteed playoff spot. So, what now, considering like the readjustments and everything, like what would
I
what would be a season that would make you happy in the playoffs?
I would say sustain the Kane Cunningham success because I think we're all excited to be back in the playoffs. We have the hope that we can take out the Knicks or maybe whoever we run into. But I think we all know that this is not like our year to like win it all. This is kind of like our big toe being dipped in the water of the big pool, of the big kids pool. Like we're making the playoff. This is the start of us building back up. And if Cade Cunningham can continue to do Cade Cunningham things in the playoffs, then it bodes well for this offseason, what we know we need around him to be successful in the playoffs. So I
So,
want to see Cade Cunningham just continue to do his things against a defense that is going to be focused on him all day, the same team all day, every day for at a minimum 4 games in a row. I just want to see Cade just continue to adapt, continue to um, evolve, and just make sure that we feel the Cade Cunningham presence each and every day, each and every game, whether we win or lose. Like we lost to Dallas, but Cade Cunningham has still had 35 points. If that's what's happening, I can semi live with it because it's
so,
showing that we we have an avenue towards success in the playoffs.
so let me ask you this: I mean, if we get swept, but Cade averages 33 a game, are you happy?
There would have to be obviously other things, but for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not just averaging 33. I want to see 33, like 7 and 8. Not just I just needs to be like a steady Cade Cunningham performance each and every night, which is asking a lot from him, but that's what you need from your franchise guy.
What about you, Con?
A hard fought 6 games.
6 games. So you're unhappy if we win 1 game, we go out in 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be unhappy, man. That'd be a sneaky performance. I
It
don't
would be
think.
disappointing for sure to be swept or lose in 5, but yeah, I
Yeah,
can see that.
I would be like, would you be? You'd be unhappy. I know you'd be unhappy.
I would be, but the on the other hand, it's like, I'm excited. I just want to end this whole thing of like, oh, the Pistons haven't won a playoff game since
Yeah.
2008. I want to end that. I think you
Yeah.
know what? If I'm gonna boil it down to something very basic, it's just that.
That's what it is for me. We have the longest drought in United States professional sports in their major leagues of not winning a playoff game. I think for me, I kind of want to see a mix of get at least one. I would say I have higher expectations, but I do want to see that success from Cade. I mean, I think that's a good point you bring up about our long-term success and about our long-term like attractiveness as a free agent destination, even as a trade destination for players to play next to Cade to show that we have a guy that can do that. But for me, it's kind of a mix of, yeah, I want to see some success there, but I also want to see us, at the end of the day, I want to see us win a playoff game. What do you think, Gabe?
In the same boat. It would be nice to see a win. It would be nice to win the series, honestly, like if we're
Yeah.
talking realistically. But I wouldn't be sad if we didn't. If we lose to like the Knicks are a good team. If we just lose to a better team that makes more shots, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
We come out and we play, and Cade plays well, and maybe
Well,
Durant plays well. Like,
inevitably,
if the roster just shows some adaptability to the playoffs, and we're not just a running gun, shut the team down. Like some players there's good NBA players, and then there's playoff winners, like playoff players.
Yeah.
If we show flashes that we have that, I'd be happy as well.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're gonna play the Knicks. It's not gonna seem like we're getting shot out by a better team. It's gonna seem like Jaylen Brown's going to the line every time, and everybody's in
Yep.
foul trouble, and we're all gonna be mad.
Yeah.
But unless we win, which the Pistons like I feel like we are setting our expectations low as not to be let down. I think the Pistons can win this series.
Well, I have high expectations.
Yeah.
I had Pistons 6, if that's the series.
I'm just talking like worst case scenario, and I don't want this to be a series where we beat ourselves. I want the other team to beat us. Like if we're leaving Josh Hart open and he's hitting shots because that's the scheme, they beat us. That's fine. I don't want us giving up like 19 turnovers a game and it being like, oh, the Pistons, we handed it to them. The other team needs to beat us. We can't beat ourselves.
Fully agree. You guys want to hear a fun stat?
I do.
Ron Holland just set tied the NBA record for most consecutive threes missed at 27 before he broke it with his 28th three-point.
That was a big one, too.
Well, Pistons and 28 are becoming a very quickly familiar couple.
Stu's number 28.
Yeah, look at that. So does that mean? Oh, okay. So Pistons winning it all, 2028. Calling it right now.
I just have
Oh,
You got I was just gonna move it on.
Yeah.
Calling it right now. Anything else you guys want to touch on? We talked a lot of playoffs. We left a little to the imagination for a
left
playoff
them on the
preview.
table though, yeah. The specifics are still on the table, but other than that, who are we playing next week, Amit?
Before we get into that, can I say a few things? Just like
Yeah.
last week.
Oh yeah, we should touch on what happened.
We were on ESPN.
Oh yeah.
Cade hit a game-winning 3. Pushing his superstar agenda even more. Since the last time we recorded, we went through the entire loss to Oklahoma City and that controversy. But I just mentioned that we had an ESPN game, April 2nd versus Oklahoma City. We're back on ESPN. We're being moved there. People want to see us now. People want to see Cade. I would give up anything to come up with against Oklahoma City there. But yeah, against Miami, where we were trailing almost the whole game, we came back, we fought hard, and we inevitably won that game. Although Miami may be cursed with holding leads, the way they're losing every single game now. But just wanted to touch on the fact that we blew out the Pelicans in New Orleans.
Largest victory, like second largest victory in franchise history, 46 points.
Which surprised me because I thought, like, what, weren't we up like 90 points on Chicago earlier this year? And So yeah, that big win in New Orleans, really, really, really strong win in Miami, and obviously today against New Orleans again. Just wanted to touch on those a little bit. And if there's anything you guys want to say quickly about those?
Also a bad loss, right, to the
Huh?
Wizards.
Bad loss to Dallas.
Oh, to Dallas. Yeah. We also lost to the Wizards though.
Prior.
Yeah, that too.
It's also a bad loss.
Yeah, that Dallas game was pretty ugly. That Dallas Miami, those two games were incredibly frustrating to watch.
They were, yeah.
Just felt like we could not get off the schneid at all in the Miami game until like maybe late in the second quarter, and then a little bit at the end of the fourth. Dallas, we just could not figure it out at all. That was incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, we never could.
Connie, anything to add?
I think that's actually a good sign. I think the Pistons are good team merchants. Put up some stinkers against the Wizards, the Mavericks, the Heat even, or I consider a bad team at this point. Save it for when it matters. I think they get amped up and get a little ahead of themselves. I think they're the type of team that beats a bad team off just talent alone. But when the going gets tough, these guys seem to get going, and when the going's not tough, they kick their feet up a little bit.
So Friday night, home to Cleveland. You think we'll show out?
I do.
I will be there, so I hope they show out.
Oh heck yeah! Maybe we'll get to see Cave this time, Amit, or you'll get.
Maybe we will. I literally was sitting there. I sent you guys the video of him in warm-ups, and I saw that, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I come back from getting some tacos, and Dennis Schroeder is starting. So it was quite the turn of events.
Yeah, as we look ahead to next week, shout out to JD for wearing Ivy's jersey. Ivy going through some warm-ups, just when I thought I was ruling out that return mentally to myself, I'm now doing the opposite and mentally preparing myself for him to come back. So who knows what will happen there, but who do we have this week, Amit?
We got San Antonio, we got Cleveland, and we got the Timberwolves.
We're in Minnesota then, right?
We're in Minnesota, so we got back-to-back games at home. Tuesday against San Antonio, Friday against Cleveland, and then we head to Minnesota.
Well, I'll jump right in and say I think we'll win 2 of those ball games. I do think we will. I think we can definitely beat Minnesota. I think they're a very beatable basketball team. I think they're very reliant on Anthony Edwards, who just shoots a lot of threes. Will be a hard one, and I don't want to say that we're going to beat them because I think we have a shot against Cleveland. I really do.
I mean, if they start sitting guys like they do towards this time of the year, they sat Mitchell against us at one point this year too, I think.
Yeah. I forgot my train of thought, but I think that is a winnable game. And like Greg Kelser, who's getting a lot of name drops on this pod right here. If you ever want to hop on Special K,
he's been on a run, man. He's been on a run, dude.
He was saying that, man, I already forgot my train of thought again. Got distracted. What was he saying? Panic. That we're gonna show out versus Cleveland. There it is. Our last chance against them this year. Let's go get the Cavs, coach's former team. Let's get riled up Friday night, big crowd. Let's win more of those games. But
that would be fun.
All in all, I think we'll handle business against San Antonio, and I think we'll win either one of Cleveland or Minnesota. So I say we'll take 2 of those wins this week.
I think the same reason we lost the Wizards and Mavs game because we play hard, which makes other teams like rile up and play hard as well. I think that's gonna happen to the Spurs, and I low-key think we might lose that.
I'm a little afraid of that too.
Yeah, and they've also been good as well. Stephon Castle is really good.
That's a 30-point.
I loved Stephon Castle.
I mean, I expect to win, but it's just like it has that we win a
trap game.
Yeah, I mean,
I think yeah.
And I think the Cavs are gonna beat us. And yeah, like Valley said, Wolves I think will be a good game to watch. A lot of offense that game.
Connie?
No way. So what do you think? What are you saying, Gabe?
I'll go 1 and 2. I just think we're in a bit of a lull right now.
Yeah.
We played great today. We played really well today. Shout out Germany. Also beat Italy. Watched missed half of this game because I was watching that.
3-0, undefeated.
There's the energy.
There's the Ron Holland of the podcast.
Pistons are in a slump. They're not. I think we're going to get a huge national TV win in the aura off against OKC, and then beat the Spurs, and then beat the Pelicans in that number 1 overall pick matchup, and people will finally start to understand that Cade is the best number 1 overall pick of the past decade.
Yeah, the Cavs, you mean, not the Pelicans.
Huh?
You mean Cleveland?
You said Pelicans?
Oh yeah, I guess I do mean the Cavs. No, I'm sorry. I meant the Timberwolves.
Oh, the Timberwolves. Okay.
I meant the Timberwolves against Anthony Edwards. Yeah, he's gonna show he's the best number 1 pick of the past decade. And 3-0, and then we're gonna be ripe to take the seed.
Any crystal ball insight into what we should be expecting out of those games? Anything?
Let me see. Is my hate arrow driving me towards any specific person? No, not really. I guess no. Yeah, it's crystal ball. It's gonna be huge Cade Cunningham games when it matters in the 2 big games against OKC and Minnesota.
Okay. I think we need to win 2 games this week. It's not just what I think I think to like solidify ourselves, to give ourselves the confidence going into that last final stretch. We need to beat San Antonio and we need to beat Minnesota. And then the Cleveland game, just don't get blown out. So I'm going to say we need to go 2-1. I don't know why I'm fearing San Antonio right now, so I'm feeling a little less optimistic. So I'm going to say 1-2, but I think we need to go 2-1.
Right on.
Any other notes before we do get out of here?
No, that was good.
No, it was already a long pod, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Buffs On Podcast. We truly, truly appreciate it. Tune in. The Pistons are an exciting team to watch. We got 40 wins on the year, looking for win number 41 against San Antonio on Tuesday. So until next time, throw the Buffs on Detroit. The future is bright.